Together, we created the It Takes a Village community. On our show, we talk about how to combine business and parenting using tools from the coaching and psychology world.
Come join our village
Because together, we grow stronger.
Yes.
Hello. It takes a village. What's up, you people?
What's up? Episode number 11.
11, 10. We all yes, 11.
11.
Yes, 11. Let it be 11. So, what are we going to talk about today, my dear Karen?
We're going to talk about emotions versus feelings. And why are we talking about that? I honestly, up until recently, I thought they were the same thing.
Same. And then, you know what? Let's ask them.
Okay.
Let's ask our crowd what they think. In a minute, we're going to put a song for you guys that is talking just about that. But prior to that, fear, is it a feeling or emotion?
Joy, is it a feeling or emotion?
Depression, feeling or emotion? We're going to talk today about the difference between the two and how we can actually use them into having a better communication with our loved ones, with our children, with our clients, and life in general.
Yeah, simple, fun, and relaxed life.
Definitely.
So let's put a song?
Yes, please. I love this song.
Me too.
Hope you enjoy it.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on a tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. For me. Stars when they shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. so good. I feel so good.
As a sheer, I'm in love. I'm feeling good. I really do feel good. How
You
about
know, good is not an emotion.
you? You're starting before we
Teaser.
started,
Yeah.
huh? Oy, oy, oy.
Feeling good is not
Jewish
an
way.
emotion. How are you feeling today, Tammy?
Actually, I feel extraordinary.
Okay. Not an emotion.
You didn't expect that, right? There is something, every time that we come here, and I want to really, I'll give a thumbs up and thank you for Radio TLA for hosting us here. It is truly, truly, truly a day of happiness because of two reasons. Not only that we come here, we share our knowledge, which fulfills us in every single way, but more than that, it makes us be better. It does.
It helps us practice
And-
and be better from week to week and really see the impact
So
of it.
thank you, Radio TLA.
Thank you,
We
Radio
love you.
TLA.
And happy birthday to Donna.
Happy birthday to our dear Dana. We love you.
We do. Now,
And love, is it an emotion or a feeling?
what do you say?
I think it's a feeling.
Well, I know now it's a feeling. Don't pretend to know before.
I
So
know it's a
Karen,
feeling.
emotions, feelings.
What's the difference?
What's the difference? Like, I believe that like I did before,
And me.
you and everyone in this world, well, part of those that know, that I thought it's the same thing.
Me too. I also thought it's the same thing. And quite honestly, when we made our research about feelings and emotions in general, I understood how deeply the difference is between the two. So let's dig in.
Let's begin.
Emotions. What are emotions? Emotions basically are things that happen in our brains, because everything happens in our brains, and it happens in the core of our brain. We're not going to say where exactly not to make you run away because of too complicated words.
Because we know the terminology, but we're not going to get there.
Yeah, we're not going to tell you. No. So emotions are something that happens all the time. They're triggered by everything we see around. Let's say we walk in the desert or the safari and we see a lion. What do you feel?
Fear. I'm going to run away.
So the emotion that arises is fear. And the reaction for this fear is to either run away or to, fight or flight or freeze. But emotions are something that is universal. Let's say you and Awanda from Africa are walking at the safari. You both will feel the same emotion. You both will experience fear. That's how emotions work. Interesting thing about emotions is they are irrational. We can't really control them. They're not affected by rationalization or thinking about it. It's something that just happens, and it happens all the time. So it's irrational. It's usually unconscious. Well, it's unconscious all the time. We're not really conscious of our emotions. That's about emotions. And they are instinct. Like every animal has instincts. So our instincts are our emotions. Our emotions are here to tell us something. Either it's to run away or danger, or they say it's a good thing. It says that we're going to be rewarded about something. So it's either about punishment or reward. So as we understand it, emotions are more primal, and emotions are universal. Everyone in the world are experiencing the same emotions. Do you have an example for that?
An example for an emotion. Well, you know what? Let's talk about one emotion that a lot of us experience when we are opening, when we want. You know what? When the idea of opening a new business arises, most of us experience this exact fear. Now, we're going to talk in a second about how it actually makes us work in a different way, because it's not exactly what you thought. This fear is not exactly what you thought, because when you want to open a business, automatically a lot of us, you know what? Not a lot of us, all of us that are going into the unknown, we're getting this sense of fear. This sense of fear is a trigger of, how should I say, a reaction of how we react to this certain situation. But yeah, fear, business, fear in becoming a mom, I bet.
Yes, for sure.
But let's talk about something like other than fear. I'm trying to think about a different feeling.
Or
And-
emotion.
Yeah, about nah. We're gonna fall with that a lot of times.
Yeah,
I
because
think.
it really is confusing. You know what? Let's explain what feelings are, and let's understand the deep difference between the two, and then we can give a better example for this. So feeling, as opposed to emotion, is the expression of the emotion that we are conscious about. So let's say we see something in the world. Let's give a really simple example. I'm driving in my car, and suddenly someone cuts me on the road. I feel pissed off. That's the feeling. The emotion is probably somewhere between, stress, anxiety. Anxiety is also a feeling. But whatever definition that I give to this emotional cue that I'm getting from my body, this is the feeling. Meaning that if I feel accelerated heart rate, or I feel sweat, or I feel like my muscles are really achy and stressed out, I immediately interpret that into either stress or fear or being pissed off. Being pissed off is a feeling, and feelings are conscious. Feelings are personal. They're not universal. They are affected by whole lots of things. Our thoughts, our past, the patterns we have in our brains that were developed over the years, and our culture, everything we see around us that was sort of built into our brains over the years. That's the glasses we wear when we feel emotions, and that's the glasses we wear and that allow us to filter these emotions into feelings.
I want to add something, and I want to say a lot of us as human beings don't even feel how blessed we are to have this insight of what a certain feeling, like a certain actual physical feeling, is giving us a certain reaction. If you think about the world of nature, about animals of any kind, they have fight or flight. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have this translation we call feelings.
Mm-hmm.
They only have the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
If they see a lion, if let's say a small animal sees a lion, she knows automatically that she needs to grab her legs and start to run away. But for us, something different happens. And this is the beautiful thing. Animal has an income of a certain situation, and the outcome is pair this same emotion that they felt, whether they run or they stay.
They actually
they breed.
live in the present.
Yes,
They're not affected of anything that happened to them in the past, except for learning processes, because they learned that being in the open wilderness and seeing a lion means danger, run away.
Yeah, and we always ask ourselves, at least me, whenever I see those shows about animals and when they give birth, you ask yourself, how come the calf know exactly to go to his mom and start suckle? It's incredible,
Yeah.
And that is something very automatic. Now, we all have this automatic triggers and primal in our body, as we are all unite. We are all one.
Mm-hmm.
But the beautiful thing is, and also the annoying thing is, it goes together, in my perspective, is that we give so many different translations to those feelings.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Let's give one example here. When you have a very fast heart rate,
Mm-hmm.
and you feel sweaty, some will consider it as I am afraid,
Mm-hmm.
but some will consider it as I am excited.
Exactly.
Let's continue.
Exactly. So let's go back to the example that I gave about being cut off on the road and that I was feeling pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
If I decide to change my perspective, to exchange the glasses that I'm wearing with a certain filter, with a, I don't know, with a black filter, to a pink filter. I'm exchanging my glasses to another one, and I see the situation differently, meaning that I change my feeling toward this emotion. I can change my entire day. Instead of cursing this driver that just cut me off the road, I can wish them a very happy day, for example. And this immediately changes my emotion toward, because I'm not getting into this vicious cycle of hurting emotions and of not understanding why I'm feeling what I'm feeling.
Definitely. The most important thing is that we understand, all of us, our feelings as a reaction of a physical trigger in our body are actually our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So when something triggered us in that specific moment, we automatically start to generate a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will symbol that as, let's say we all seen someday in our life a bubble machine. You know those bubbles that you connect to the electricity, you put the juice, like this liquid, the soap, and then you let it run, right? Now,
and the bubbles just keep going out and out.
Keep going and going and going. Now, I want you to think about our life as the human being exactly like this machine. What it needs to exist is the electricity and enough of the soap inside the machine to keep on creating those bubbles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Us as human beings are the same. We need energy to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those bubbles that you see all over are actually the way our brain is creating our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about it, our thoughts, I once said before, our brain is designed to create thoughts and ideas, but it's not designed to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly like the bubble machine, a thought has been created.
The bubble comes out.
Exactly. And then what happens?
It flies away and pops.
Pops, exactly. But what happens if a bubble, we put more air into it?
It pops.
Not only, it grows.
Uh-huh.
It starts by growing,
Mm-hmm.
and then it can also dissolve into two different bubbles. And then two different bubbles, that's exactly what's going on inside the machine that creates more and more in duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
This is exactly what happens to us when we dwell on a certain thought that creates this certain feeling, that creates this certain behavior. And here we're going to talk actually how we can look at life from a different perspective for a second to help us understand ourselves better.
To help us pop those bubbles before they become bigger or multiply
Before they
themselves.
make babies.
Before they make babies. So you're basically saying that once we are digging into the first feeling we felt or to the thought and adding more thoughts and more feelings to it, we actually are multiplying what we're feeling to a greater feeling. Is it a good? Is it hurting? By the way, there's no such thing as a bad emotion. Every emotion is acceptable, and we need to feel every emotion. But I think that basically what we're saying here is, as a human being, the biggest lesson for us, I think, is to learn to talk the language of the feelings. Because once you know what you're feeling, once you know what the emotion arises in your body makes you feel, only then you can really control your feelings and you can make rational decisions. Because when you are working in thinking, overthinking about something, you just create bigger and bigger bubbles, and they create baby bubbles, and you're sort of in a loop that doesn't end. And the emotion, the feeling creates another emotion, the emotion creates another feeling, and you're in this loop and you're feeling like it's not going to end. And one of the most common thoughts about emotions in general is, I don't want to feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Especially I don't want to feel hurting emotions, because, well, they hurt. I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to feel these emotions. So I try to suppress them.
So now let's separate the fact that depression is not an emotion. Depression is a feeling.
Yes.
Because let's try to find a way to help them understand with themselves what is the feeling and what is the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I would look at an emotion as something physical happening in my body. It's like when we start to feel an energy flow, when we start to feel our heart rate rising up, when we start to feel lightheaded, when we start to feel like we are in certain ecstasy,
Butterflies,
exactly. Those are all triggers. Now, the second thing is what happens when what we're thinking once we feel these physical cues in our body, that starts to create our own feelings.
Mhm.
Now, again, our feelings are thoughts, and thoughts, unfortunately, come from our past. But let me ask you a question, Karen.
Yeah.
Do you think the past actually exists?
Well, it doesn't exist in the present moment. It used to exist, but it's no longer there.
Exactly. And I want to give one example here of how the past that no longer exists can create a certain feeling at the moment.
Okay.
Now, I want you to think about a moment that, you know what, let me ask you, would you like life like from the regular life, like, day to day, or something from the business?
Whatever you choose. You choose.
Okay, I'll choose. So, when you have like with in your relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take an example. And there is a certain thing that your partner in your real life is constantly not doing that with time starting to get you pissed off,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I will give a certain example. I will get back home and then I will see a pile of dishes still there and see that nothing has been done with those dishes,
Uh-huh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then internally, what I start feeling is pissed off
Mm-hmm.
by my partner. It's not been done. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. They didn't. And when you think about it for a second, they are not there. So how can they piss you off in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
It's a big question mark.
Yeah.
They're not there. They do not exist. It's the connection that we created with this certain situation that made us feel this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's exactly like I shared a few days ago in my story that when my internet company raised the prices, my automatic reaction before was to get pissed off, and the only thing I wanted to do is to call them and fight them for them to reduce the price. And I would always get annoyed by the fact, why do I need to get to cancellation in order for you to do something?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the old Tammy. This time, I knew already. Okay, find yourself an alternative if you really are going to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And I just called directly to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Without the madness, without the craziness,
What did you feel at that moment?
that I'm on top of my fucking game.
What's the feeling?
It was exciting
Mhm.
versus annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. It was, I really wanted to, do this to myself,
Tap your shoulder.
tap my
Yeah.
shoulder,
Yeah.
and I felt successful in that specific moment
Mm-hmm.
because I overcome my own obstacles.
Yeah, you mastered your own feelings, and that's what we want to teach you to how to do today. Because once you master your own feelings, you're able, as we said before, to make rational decisions in your business, to be more calm and present in the moment, instead of getting into this loop of feelings and thoughts and emotions and feelings and thoughts and physical uncomfortable feelings. So as we said, the emotions and feelings are different things, and we can't control emotions because they happen all the time. Like let's take the bubble machine, like bubbles. They happen all the time, the emotions, but something triggers them for us to feel it in our body, and that's our feelings. And we can change our perspective in order to feel something differently. Let's take it to the kids' world, because I teach parents that it's super important at any given moment from the age of 2 to teach our kids how to express their feelings. And the sooner we do it, the better life they're going to have. Because when you are keeping your emotional gates open, when you know what you're feeling, you're basically letting go. You're not keeping it inside of you. And I always give this...
You allow it to pop.
You allow it to pop. Exactly. So what we want to do with emotions, it's like they're flowing in a certain of current, and we don't want to stop this current. We just want to let them flow, keep flowing, keep coming, keep going. And once we understand that this is the way emotions work, and another important thing is that emotions are basically key to our presence in this world. Emotions are here to give us clues about what's important and what's not. And once we understand it, we know how to prioritize our own things. Because if we feel something really big, probably this thing is super important for us, and we need to pay attention to this thing, and instead of setting it aside.
And they also say that emotion is temporary. It's not something that can stay for a long time. Let's say, God forbid, someone passed away in your family. The grief can be only for a short amount of time.
Few weeks.
But yet again, you see some people that are still crying over it and more for years and years. And that is the difference between the feeling and emotion, because
they develop depression.
Yes.
And depression is a feeling.
Definitely.
Because grief is an emotion. You can't be in grief for too long. It goes away. But once you give it too much space to exist inside of you, and you sort of like combine your own experience to the experience of this emotion, you and the emotion become one. You can't really release the feelings that are arising from this emotion. So let's get back to the kids' world. And I want to give an example about Reef, my daughter. She's almost 3 years old, and we've been talking feelings since she was 2 years old. How do we do that? We read books. And every time she's experiencing something, I can't really know exactly what's going on, but I can guess. And I sort of give her options to what she's feeling. So, for example, Reef and lots of other kids, when she's very excited, she raises her voice to like a super high tone, almost unbearable.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, ah! And immediately the automatic response, I want to say, shut up, shut the fuck up. No, but I don't say it. So like I want to keep her silent because it's more convenient for me and for the people around me. And also it starts getting into the what people will think about my daughter, and she's a mother's coach daughter, and she's supposed to behave herself, and she's screaming. But once I know that this is her reaction to feelings of excitement, I know that I can give her alternatives. So I would say, Reef, I see you're so excited. It's so exciting to jump in the pool. I'm excited too. You know what? Next time when you feel excited, you can just say, I'm so excited. And she can either use it or not, but I know that I gave her alternative. And you know what? It works. We were on a vacation in Cabo this past few days, and we just came back yesterday, and she was jumping in the pool and screaming, and I told her that. And 2 days after, she's like jumping in the pool, Mom, I'm so excited. I like it here. I love the pool. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. She knows how she's feeling, and it's really good news, because now it's just the learning process. But when she gets older and she starts her relationships with other people, with a partner, with a business partner, for example, she will know how to manage these feelings because she will know what she's feeling, and she will not be identified with the emotion.
Definitely. When you tell it that way, what we learn from that is, in the end, what we want is to create a certain balance between the emotion to the feelings. So our emotions will have a place in our world, but we are not going to let the feelings overcome them to increase either a bad or even a good one. Even to be in super high all the time is not beneficial for our world. So we need to find this balance between the emotion and the feelings. Mm-hmm. But yet again, a lot of times people tend to look outside into finding this balance. But Karen, we both know balance is only where?
Inside of us.
Definitely.
Always the answers are inside. And you know what? I'll add another thing. whatever we see around us is a reflection of our internal world.
Oh yeah.
So let's say we see someone that pisses us off. Most probably, it's because it arises some cues or physical cues or some things from the past that arises our feelings, and it's something internal. Because as we said, feelings are individual, emotions are global or universal, but feelings are individual.
I'll tell you more than that. You know what? If we got into this conversation, when we feel upset or even happy, when we like or dislike someone in these levels, it's one of two things. It's either we want to be them and we envy them, or the second option is that they're doing everything that is not matching our values, that are the complete opposite of what we believe in, so we resent it from this way.
Yeah.
So again, think about it for a second. Sometimes you have this vision of a person that you don't know. You have no idea who they are, and you see them over the TV or something, and you get this feeling that you're like, I don't want to be around this girl. Something about her. It can be either she reminds you your kindergarten teacher,
or yourself,
or
the things you don't like about yourself.
Exactly. So it comes always from an internal world.
And you know what? How we can use it is to basically understand what these feelings that I feel is trying to tell me. Because as we said, emotions are basically our sort of guide into this world, into our intuition. And as soon as we understand our emotions, we understand better how to avoid danger, let's say, and how to get closer to things that we need in our world or are important to us. So let's take your example. If I see someone and she makes me feel this way, I need to stop for a second and ask myself, why? Why am I feeling it? Even write it in your journal. Start writing and it will come. As soon as you will open yourself to the possibility that your emotions are key to understanding your inside world and to be more present in the moment, you will start living a much better life. And another thing I wanted to add is that I said it a little bit before, is that we have a tendency to sort of neglect our emotions or think that we can't really get emotional right now. We need to function. We need to be rational. So we can't really get emotional because emotions are unpredictable and, unconscious, and we can't really control them. So we tend to push it down and push it down and push it down. And what happens is they just
rises later on.
Yeah, they pop up, and they pop up in a much greater way. And if we keep suppressing our emotions, it will find the way back to our lives at some point when we don't really expect it. So give yourself the permission to feel any emotion, because any emotion is a key. And any emotion is also a key to your emotional and physical state. What happens when you suppress your emotions? It's either pops up to another person. Let's say you feel angry the entire day and you feel it and you don't let yourself feel it because you need to function. And then you come back home and you scream at your partner and you scream at your kids and you feel pissed off and you don't know why, because you didn't give enough room for expressing your feelings.
So here's a conversation you and I always have about emotions.
Oh, you want to tell them that?
Why not?
Okay.
Let's open it up. Karen is very much about sharing and expressing emotions. And I'm, on the other hand, since I practice, and it's very important to add here, since I practice so much and I practice every single day how to diagnose what kind of a feeling I have, why do I have it. I do all of this work almost in instant moment. So I don't have the need anymore to express the feeling that I have in this moment. And I will give out loud. And I will give an example. Last week, I accidentally bumped my car, which was not fun. It was, I got frustrated. I was
I was
angry. Karen was with me, and she tried so much to ask me, Tammy, what do you feel? Let it out. And I knew exactly what I feel. And since I'm doing this work with myself for so long, I knew exactly that I feel this way. First, because I feel like I disappointed myself and my partner for doing it right before we need to sell the car. And just the hustle of dealing with it right now, and that I need to fix it. I had a lot of tasks all of a sudden that I need in my head, that I need to do in my head. Now, my perspective, since I'm working on it so much, I asked myself in this moment, and this is very important, you might not be able to do it right away. And you know what? Most likely you're not going to be able to do it right away. But it started for me by writing down those scenarios and analyze them prior to the actual situation. Today I do it automatically, that I don't really need to express out loud what I feel.
Mhm.
But prior to that, I did it all the time by writing, because
So you
I live in
say-
an internal world.
Mhm.
I live very much in internal world. And for me, expressing it was exposing me to more of this feeling that I didn't want in my body.
Mhm.
So I learned to see, okay, it doesn't have to be this exact thing. It can be something else. How can I fix this for myself so I'm not going to let these feelings stay in me?
Mhm.
The emotion was there,
Mhm.
and I let it be because it was real.
Mhm.
The fear that I experienced in that specific moment was there.
Mhm.
This heart rate was there. Everything was there. Yes. But I chose in that moment to understand that what I feel is because it led to XYZ. And after I understood that, I knew that all I need to do is give myself a few minutes to quiet down, to relax for a second. And then when I'm relaxed, to work out of a rational place and not from an irrational place. And that is a difference for me. And this is something that I truly believe that each person should practice every single day with every situation that got you into an uncomfortable situation. Because eventually it really does tell you something about you, about your values in life, about where you want to go in life. It's just a signal.
Mhm.
Listen to your signals,
Mhm.
because the more you practice listening to your signals, the easier it will be to do the steps that you need in to get there, and be rational about it in a certain way.
Yeah.
Life is irrational, so let's find some rationality inside of this chaos of mess.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, and you said that you recognized your feeling, and I was trying to have you express it because I didn't
Squeeze it
understand.
out.
Squeeze it out because, well, that's what I do for a living, but also because I got the notion from you. I sort of felt like you're suppressing your emotions, and I wanted you to let it out because we had so many things to do. I didn't want you to get into it too much. What I didn't understand and we understood today is that you're going through this entire process internally because you're already practiced in that. And it's not something that I do. It's something that I teach my coaches to do in the coaching room, how to do it internally. And this is what you do because you are very well practiced. And what you do is once you understand and give a name to your feeling and to the emotion, you basically ask yourself, what will help me in this situation? And I think it's a very important thing you said there. As parents, the best thing we can do for our kids, instead of saving them from feeling unwanted emotions, remember we said there is no such thing as unwanted emotions. Every emotion is wanted because it's there. It exists. And if we say it's unwanted, we kind of suppress it and we don't let them feel what they are feeling.
Mhm.
They are feeling it. So by helping them or saving them or distracting them from what they are feeling, we're not really helping them. So if we want to help our kids, we need to first help them with giving a name to this feeling. You're excited, you're afraid, you are frightened. And the second thing is to help them understand what helps them in the situation. So when they're very little, We can try and trigger their minds in asking, what can help you? We can be their model and say, you know what, I'm also afraid. And what helps me is to do this and that. And
I want to add a prior work to that.
Mhm.
And this is going to be a pre-work for everyone that is starting to practice this specific thing.
Mhm.
And the prior work will be to disconnect the association you have with a certain feeling. And what do I mean by that? When we grew up, our parents told us, don't cry.
Yeah.
You're not, let's say for men, they say it's not manly to cry,
Mhm.
right? And for us, they tell us as women, don't show your emotions. It will show as if you're weak,
Yeah.
right? And all of us have this association to those feelings in the back of our head.
Mhm.
We don't know if it's true or not true. Now, we all know that we live an internal world. There is no right or wrong
Mhm.
in our world because it's in our perspective.
It's individual.
Exactly. But yet again, we define in our own personal mind what is right and what is wrong.
Mhm.
We define it, each one individual with their own glasses. They say, this is true, this is false. And do the work to understand if the connection you have with this specific emotion is true or false.
Mhm.
Because eventually we are led into generations prior to us that told us what's right or wrong. And this is exactly what they taught us. Now it's the time for you to understand, is it true
Mhm.
for you, for your life, for your values, for your kids, for your business?
Because understanding what's true for you is getting you closer to the authentic you.
Definitely.
Being held by the perspectives that we've been taught throughout the years from our parents, from the other generations, are keeping us away from the authentic selves. And once we realize that and we start to ask ourselves what is true for us, we are getting a little bit closer to our own self and to understanding what our body and our mind and our consciousness is telling us. And this is a key. Also, before we finish the episode, I want to say a little tip for parents, for mothers. Before you start working with your kids on understanding feelings and naming emotions, do it yourself.
Definitely.
With everything that you do with your kids, first do it yourself, because your model is the best thing ever in order to teach your kids to do something. And with that, we will end this session.
Yes, you want to just sum it up?
Yeah.
Do we have enough time? Just a summary? Okay, so to sum it up, first of all, understand that emotions and feelings are different. They're not the same thing. Emotions are the triggers your body is signaling to you that something is happening. And the feelings are what is the translation you give yourself to the situation. Once you get to this specific situation, ask yourself, what am I feeling? After you realize what you felt, this is the time to ask yourself, why am I feeling it? The understanding of why you're feeling it will actually get you to the next step and ask yourself, what can help me in the next time?
Mhm.
And after you know what helps you, start live by it. Journal, ask your friends, talk to yourself, find a way to understand and express everything within you.
Mhm.
Does that sum it up?
Yes,
Yes.
summed it up perfectly. We'll see you next week, next Monday, 2 p.m., and we're going to talk about human needs and how we
Yes.
can use them in understanding our world. And also, we want to invite you to our paint night. We're going
Yes.
to do Paint Night and Network on next Tuesday, July 20th. It's going to be in Studio City, 7:30 p.m. And if you need more details, just comment on YouTube or on Facebook, or you can approach either of us on our Instagram page, ITAV, It Takes a Village,
LA.
LA. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you,
so
Karen.
much. Thank you, Tammy.
Love you.
Love you, Mommy.